Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt this program to answer one important question, and it's not just the meaning of life. Most importantly, what's on your iPad? And I don't want to hear somebody say, wires and circuitry, because we don't have time to be sarcastic. We have time to be fantastic. Introducing the fam, Cypha Omni, DragonFlyBry, Beatmakeristhesquad leader himself, Cheez Da Producer, the mastermind, Ms.LeD, and J1Star. Individually, we do stuff. But together and forever, we sell everything.
Talk that shit. Talk that shit.
Yeah.
What's up? What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another week. Another week. Everybody's in the house this week. Everybody's in the house.
We back home.
Yeah, man. It's morphin' time.
Word.
Yo, can I take a second to say something on some busted rhyme shit? I'm fucking emulsified right now. Yo, that intro was crazy.
That was the best intro ever, Jay.
Yeah, you got to throw some fire. Throw some fire emojis up there.
Oh, I'm gonna freak that. Effects coming. That deserves
Yeah. They set the tone right. Set the tone right. That's what I'm talking about.
God damn. Blood pumping.
We ready for this show now.
Shit.
What?
Shit, I'm leaving.
Let's get it.
That's the show right there.
So, what are we talking about today, fellas?
Everything.
Can I just say?
Wires and circuitry.
Okay.
Is it? Ain't, have any of y'all messed with any new apps at all? Because I don't know. Like,
what's that shit called? Skiiid. I'm beta testing, but it's out already. But I'm beta testing the new version.
How is Skiiid? Well, you can't really talk about it on air. So,
it's out already.
It's already out.
But I mean, but you beta testing. You know what I mean? So
the new version, the update, like
is audio unit or anything like that? Or
he just made it audio unit.
Oh.
I don't know if he dropped
that's
it.
How you change my opinion on everything.
It's like a synth, but for like
it's supposed to be like a drum synth.
Yeah, it's like a drum synth.
But people be like using it for like EDM stuff like that. That's kind of that's what I'm trying to see. Like if I can do something with it. Because
you got it, Jay?
No, I ain't got it. But like I've been seeing it on IG, folks been like using it like Protometer. He went and set it up, I think through Filter Step, and start setting up for that between that and Rosetta, and start making that stuff sing and dance. And I'm like, I might try to mess with it.
You probably like that shit, Jay, because you be into all that different sounds and shit.
Yeah.
Now, I did get Addstation. So Addstation, it just came out 2 days ago. So who's familiar with Addictive Pro? It's additive synthesis by Versa.
Mm-mm. Okay.
So basically, what they did with Addstation was basically like if you had, how do I explain it? Like, okay, chord polypad, right? Where you can just throw stuff on there and you can make chord stuff. What if you had like a whole bunch of pads and you can just make additive synthesis on there, and then you can make them basically go forward, backwards, reverse, and whatever and whatnot. So it's basically like having, I'd say, like 32 different additive synths on there, and you can make them all morph together with each other.
Word?
It's like what's the name? Got a synth like that? It's called Layer or something like that. I got it on my I forgot who makes it, but I know it's like a almost like a multi-timbral synth, right? Like it's like a sound module, like the synth, like the app itself.
And his whole emphasis is basically just additive synthesis. So, and for those who are not familiar with additive synthesis, it's basically where one sound wave, you can use that sound wave and you put it all through the frequency, and it's going to sound like that. But if you went and add another sound wave with that sound wave, then you get different timbres, and then you can actually, and depending on how many partials that you want, you can go from maybe 32 to 512. You can get different timbres for how much of the volume of each of the different sound waves. Yeah, I mean,
$9 is worth it.
It's $8.99. It's 55% off right now.
It's universal or no?
Number 56 in the
It
store.
is.
It's
Yeah.
universal? Oh, word? That's what's up.
Yeah, it is. Because I'm looking at it right now.
Conversion. Oh, yeah, I know about that.
Yeah, it looks like all their apps.
It does MPE. It says Rolly Seaboard.
Oh, man, I sold that thing.
It does?
It says Rolly Seaboard.
Bro, I told you holla at me. I would.
It's going. It's going. It's going. I'm sorry. I put it on eBay
I still want
one
one.
day. Hey, you want to know something? After I sold it, I was like, damn, I need a Bluetooth keyboard now.
You see?
But I just didn't like. I didn't like the squishy.
That looks
keys.
dope, though. I might get it.
It does. I see it.
Well, yeah, that's like the only app that I've been seeing so far. Lately, what I've been doing is, have y'all probably been seeing on my IG, is I guess I'm getting back into my EDM phase, because that's kind of how I started off, and trying to go through the whole journey of trying to make music. And it's like,
There's a big market for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I now started figuring out, how to make that, that whomping bass sound and stuff like that, like how Skrillex is doing. And so what I started doing, instead of going to all four, I started like going backwards and like, what's, because when you look at Serum, the way Serum works is basically your LFOs, you can put your LFOs on pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And the LFOs doesn't work like your regular LFO. It works more of like, okay, you have a triangle wave and you just put it on whatever, and you can just basically bend the curves and however you see fit. So what I started doing was like, okay, what apps can actually kind of do that? And so I've been trying to mess with those more or less. And then the other part was like the filters. That's why, like, you see, like a lot of my videos, I've been using Magellan 2, because Magellan 2, it has the Voyoda filters, which is like, 'cause you got your Magellan Lopez, you have your Voyodas, and I think you have like Montoya. I forget what they are, but or the Vodas. I forget. I have to go back into it. But like those filters are like very, very good, and like if you get them at the right frequency, you LFO them like at the right amount. One going one way, one going the other way, and then you can start creating vowels that way. And like Magellan 2 is just so easy to do that. And then the other part that I like doing to get into is frequency modulation. And that's the one thing about I forgot who the company, Yonak, who makes Magellan. Yeah, like they're simps. They're so much of a sleeper, because it's like they look at its core, it looks simple, basic, and the graphics might not be all that, but they're just such powerful simps. And once you like dive deep into it, and you can just get a lot of amazing stuff by just doing just simple stuff and with the LFOs. And that's why it's like I'd go in there and I'd just make just some crazy sounds with like Magellan 2. And then like with VerSynth, with there, I went back to TerraSynth. The bad thing I hate about TerraSynth is you gotta keep on scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. But if you take the time to put it, because what they have, and a lot of the VerSynths have, not all of them, is they have the multi-point envelope generators. And that's kind of like how Serum works with the LFOs. Because not only do they make an LFO go forward and backwards, but then you can kind of reshape it. VerSynth is what, TerraSynth, like I said, is old, but I think like 5 years old. But it's the only one that I know. I think that CubeSynth, maybe another one, to where you can actually have one envelope and you can make multiple envelopes and stuff like that. Like a long time ago, I made this instrumental called Burnt Ice Cream, and what I did was I actually used that multi-point envelopes to make different points to make a bass line, and it was a happy accident, because I was trying to do something, but it worked so good. I just all right, I'm just gonna move it, and now going back into it, it's like basically, for what I would say is basically envelopes and LFOs are your friend if you're trying to like do some like crazy off the wall stuff, and then add in with frequency modulation, FM synthesis, phase modulation synthesis, and I'm gonna try a little bit of additive. Additive, how that works is basically, okay, just like I said, if you can get your sound waves to sound just right, then things can sound, you get some pretty interesting sounds. So that's what I've been doing more or less. And I kept on telling y'all, when Saturn 2 came out, it was gonna be a wrap. So bonus for Brambros to make Woot, because that just made OTT now available for iOS, and that was like one of the things. Was like, man, you know, if
what is OTT? I keep hearing people talk about that. Like, what is that?
All right, so OTT is more or less of a multi-band compressor. So remember a long time ago when we was talking about the CleverGram apps and we had Squash It, right? Yeah. So Squash It was kind of like a not that much controllable version of OTT. So where you have three, you know, you can have compression lows, mid highs, you can compress, you can expand, and basically what you're doing is you're basically squashing the sound. You're basically just squashing the hell out of that sound, just stepping on it, elbow dropping it, steamrolling it. But depending on what you throw in there, it can sound pretty good, and it sounds in your face. And so having that, and then the cool thing about the Woot app is it has a classic OTT preset. So most of the stuff I do is I was like, okay, classic OTT, boom, and it's already sounding good. And what I do is what the folks do on Ableton on the desktop is they'll just stack 3 of them on there. And stacking 3 of them on there, it makes you jump. It makes your sound pretty serious. But what I've been doing lately is I put 2 of them on there, and then in the middle I put in Saturn 2 because Saturn 2 is pretty much OTT on steroids. Because instead of OTT, you can get 3 bands, you know, low, mids, highs. With Saturn 2, you can put 6 bands on there, and each of those bands you can put its own algorithm of distortion or saturation on there, and then you can still filter that, and then you can still compress or expand it, and then you can still put envelopes and LFOs on each of those settings and just make it just sing and just do all types of stuff. And that's what I've been doing for the longest. But I only put 1 of those on there because if I put 3 of those on there on anything, it'll just bring the iPad to its knees. But on the saving grace though, I was able to put 2 of the Woots and a Saturn 2 on Beatmaker 3, and nothing happened. So I'm like, yes, there's hope.
That's dope.
That is.
Did you ever remember from Sampler? Like it's an old app, but you like Sampler?
Oh, Sampler, I love it. I really, 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 really wish that it would go AUV3. Like there's 2 apps. There's 2 apps I would like sell my soul for it to be AUV3. One of them because it was ahead of its time. It's still ahead of its time. Yeah. There's people that still use it to this day. And then the other one was I wish Reason Studios would just Thor. If they made Thor AUV3,
bro. Yo, the crazy thing is that all the synthesis you was talking about is in Thor. Every last one of them. Every last one of them is in Thor. You know what I mean? Like, and Thor got the Thor is crazy. Like because you got the sequencer at the bottom. How you get you can sequence all the modulation, or you can sequence notes and shit.
Sequence
that.
all that,
yeah. You know, and then you can basically automate every knob. Yeah, yo, you know Reason's my shit. You know that.
Yeah.
Like, I've been missing Bay for a minute because my computer retired. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I might have to just replace the computer just to get back because Reason, I love Reason. You know what I mean? But I dig it. But Thor is fire.
Yeah, Thor. Like I said, Thor. I still say if I had to pick one synth app, it would be Thor. Like because I mean, I can do things with Obsidian. Yeah, I can do things with these other synth apps. But Thor was it. Thor had everything. Like it was already future proof. The only thing it wasn't future proof was AUV3.
Right.
And I guarantee.
Other joint I wish would go to AUV3 is Nave. Yo, Nave is crazy.
People sleep on Nave.
Nave is so crazy. Shit is so crazy, man. Because you can make that motherfucker talk. Like literally, you can type words into it, and it'll say it. Like, but so you gotta type them phonetically, but like it'll still say it. You know what I mean? You make that shit say whatever you want. But yeah, I wish that would go AUV3. What you was gonna say though?
But yeah, like I said, but like between Nave and Thor, like those were they came out in 2013, and to this day, like all these other apps that came out, I mean, the only other app that I think that can kind of give them a run for their money, and that's if it actually works right, is Synth Master 1.
The Synthmaster 1 is sick, though.
Synthmaster 1 is good, but it's like, I know of the old pros, that iPad Pro that I got, like, it would just start just acting up. And when you throw it in a DAW, and then when you try to like MIDI map it, it'll just start doing weird things. Like I have to reload it up like 20 billion times just so I can
That
get
shit
all the
does
MIDI
that in
mapping
the new
going.
iPads too, bro.
Mm.
It's not just the old iPads; it's the app.
Yo, you wanna know something crazy? Like for me, like I think I'm kind of at the point, and I don't know, maybe it just might be kind of sad, but like for me, I'm at the point where like I done found the joints that work for me, and I just kind of stick with them. You know what I mean? Like I know the joints that work, and like I don't need to add nothing else because they just repackaging the same thing over and over again. You know, but just giving new graphics.
Ooh, I got a case in point. Like, okay, so Koala came out with Koala effects, right?
Yeah.
So Segment's about to have Segment's effects, and it looks like it's like kind of the same thing when you look at it. It's like they're doing the same difference. Where it's like,
but Segment effects ain't as good as Koala effects. It's not.
And
to,
I told
to shit
Cheez
on
that
Segment
too.
effects, but like
when Koala effects came out, I said I'll never go in Koala again.
Yeah,
it's pointless.
See, I don't think so because like Koala, the workflow in Koala like is crazy because the way you could just resample like so easily. Like for me, that's the reason why I really love about Koala.
Yeah, if you don't like the workflow and you happy with Beatmaker 3 and you could just bring those effects in there, I'll never go into the Koala app again.
But then here's the thing though about the effects that you can do on Beatmaker 3 you can't do on Koala. You can automate them effects. You know what I'm saying? And you can if you hook them up right, you can automate.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The package of that, I'll never go into Koala again.
Yeah, but I like Koala got a sound to it too. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's a crunchiness about it. Like, you know, for me at least, maybe just because I resample everything in there. I never like however it comes to sounding, it's definitely gonna sound different. Like when I'm done. The only thing I don't like about Koala is like to mix on it. Like you gotta really like plan that shit out. And it's just like we were talking about last week, I think, or a couple weeks ago. It's just like mixing on a pocket operator, but like that's it. You know what I mean? But other than that, but to me, it's like if you just like, yo, fuck it, I'm just gonna make this 2-track, and you willing to just like, yo, instantly make a 2-track, like, and it's, I don't know, it's I just like that shit, you know what I mean? Like but like, you know, I'm still using Koala. Like as soon as I got to get on a train or something like that, I'm definitely using it because that's the only I refuse to use that shit on my iPad. I just can't. I can't do it. I can't do it, man. I can't. You know?
Sure, man.
Yeah.
It kind of go back to what you were saying, Jay, too, man. Well, you know, that's the problem with some of these app development companies too. Is of course it's a competitive space, you know. So when one person comes out with something, another company's going to try to come out and mimic the same thing that they're doing. Mm-hmm. It's no different than like you download one solitaire game on your phone and then you go to pick one and there's like 18 million of the same game. It's just repackaged and just, you know, it's, I mean, and don't get it twisted. The competitive nature of it is what brings some of the best apps that, you know, we can get out there that's available to us. But it's also a gift and a curse, in my opinion, too, because it's like, man, you know, a lot of the apps is like, it's pretty much the same thing like Cheez was saying. It's like just the same stuff, you know, repackaged and refurbished. And, oh, well, look, we just added this to it and added that to it. And sometimes they don't add anything at all, just a different skin.
Like,
you know what I mean?
I think like one of the biggest offenders, I wouldn't say biggest offenders, but like they got some good stuff every now and then, is 4 Pockets. Because if you look at all their little effects apps, it's like it's a little bit of, oh, this reminds me of this app, this reminds me of that app. Like
I like 4 Pockets. I like the fact that all their apps like kind of have like their apps have that look, you know, the same look, you know, the same interface or whatever, like so it makes it easy to use them. I just like some of the apps they just don't work like very well. You know what I mean? Like they work good, but then they sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. You know what I mean? Or like I don't know, like some of the 4 Pockets joints, it just like for me at least, I don't know, like they crash different apps, or they just won't load up. They won't, like when you load the app and you got the effect on something, but when you load your session back up, it'll be like, oh, such and such failed to load or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I know all joints like do that from time to time, every now and again, but like some of the 4Pockets joints do it more regularly than others. But I will say this: the auto tune thing that they got, I got that. I used it before. It works. I just used it the other day. It works very well. So it's hit or miss, but like with them for me.
And then like another company that's kind of hit or miss for me is Audio Damage. Like on paper, when you look at it, their stuff looks pretty, but it's like when you install it on your iPad or your iPhone and you start trying to play it out, it's like you get so many issues, crackling and stuff like that.
It's heavy, yeah.
Like they got a lot better over the years, but like when in the beginning, it's like, oh yo, this is dope, and then you go in there and you put it in a DAW, and you start getting those like squelches and unwanted audio, and it's like seriously. Or if you go, or everything's going good, but then when you go in the export, then that effect's missing, and it's like,
oh man,